Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And with this one, we've got another banger. We've got the most overpowered 2 versus 2 comp in the game, something that you would have never expected, something that's giving all these hunters, all these holy priests, all these rogues a run for their money. And that is the Guardian Druid Affliction Warlock. This is a powerful composition that focuses on a lot of self-sustain and a lot of sustained damage over time. If you're curious towards the talents and conduits for this build, I will have a link to that guide at the end of this video. But for this video, we will be covering the matchup of Rogue Priest versus Warlock Druid. And if you really want to see a Rogue Priest suffer, then this is the video you're going to want to stay for, because I've really never seen some of these compositions be so miserable in the 2v2 bracket, considering how dominant they are overall in the meta. So the main goal here of the Guardian Druid Warlock is to try and keep the melee DPS off of your Warlock. So charging them, rooting them, stunning them, using Demoralizing Roar, and healing with Rejuve and Swift Mend and Regrowth when necessary. Right at the start of the game, with the rogue being in stealth, you want to get ready to immediately pounce and peel for your Warlock if the rogue decides to open. Also, you want to be thinking about your bark skin a little bit differently on the Guardian Druid specialization. It's a cooldown that should be used to avoid crowd control, or be used aggressively. It's not a defensive cooldown because it activates Incarn. But right here, we're going to start the fight with In-Cap Roar on the rogue, and then we're going to use our bark skin to immune CC from the priest so that we can safely crowd control the rogue out of the In-Cap, and I bet they've never seen that before. This priest was probably expecting to chastise fear me, but I'm just totally immune to it by using bark skin like this, and I can completely shut down their opener, which is stereotypically very scary at the start from a rogue priest. And then in the meantime, we can just start working on stacking up our thrash. We want to try and get that to 3 stacks to amplify our damage as much as possible. We vortex the leap of faith, then stun the rogue so that our warlock does not get sapped, and so that our warlock can start to catch up towards where the rogue is. So you want to just be enabling them as much as possible. After they've been enabled, we're going to pop our cooldowns. We're comboing our Venthyr Covenant ability with our Incarnation. And we're just going to spam Mangle 3 times into Mauls. We want to stop heals during this time, so we've used our Skull Bash to interrupt the flash heal, and we're going to swap to the priest a moment here while we're in this aggressive position, and we can kind of just start dominating our opponents. We got them both at half HP. Rogue's running out in the middle of the map fully dotted, so we're going to try and go back to them to stop them from going after our Warlock. They end up shadow stepping back right before I hit my In-Cap, so really unlucky for me, because this could have been a lot of extra damage. While we're walking back, we want to min-max our globals, so we're going to toss a Rejuve Swiftmend onto our Warlock, and then maintain our Thrash stacks while moving towards the priest. And here we've got Barkskin available, and like I said, you want to think of it more like an offensive cooldown, because it's going to activate our Incarnation or extend our Incarnation. So in this position, I've activated it. It's also going to do Brambles damage as AoE, and we can just completely destroy them. Like if I didn't get kited for that maybe 3 seconds, this team is probably already dead. We land an interrupt over onto the priest, and with that interrupt, it's a KO. Unfortunately, they're playing the Res Legendary, but the Res Legendary may not even be enough for this team to be able to deal with our oddball composition with a bear and a warlock. We're just going to keep attacking the rogue while we're waiting for the priest to come out of their Res Legendary, and we want to try and crowd control them when they come out of this effect so that we can prevent them from immediately recovering, put a little bit more stress on them. But in the meantime, we get stunned, so does our Warlock. So our Warlock's going to use Dark Pact whenever both of us are crowd controlled. That shield effect will allow them to survive during the stun. We can then In-Cap the priest as they come up from the Res Legendary and cast a Cyclone onto the priest. Then I can start to try and root the rogue, so the rogue is not going to get dispelled while the priest is cloned. The rogue Shadow Step kicks us, but that's fine. Now the rogue can't reconnect to the warlock. The rogue has no kick for our warlock, so he can drain life to full, and he can start getting dots out onto the team. So always having a threat of crowd control, cyclone, and root to bait these types of interrupts, and then we can just charge forward, keeping our dots up on both targets. I've used Incarn here to allow myself to spam Thrash back to 3, as it was reset from all that crowd control, as well as the immunities from the Holy Priest, and we're trying to land an interrupt on the priest. Unfortunately, the priest does end up faking us in this position, but still, having them cowering at not even a minute and a half into the game as this composition at half health, just flailing around trying to figure out where they want to go and who they want to hit, is going to be a great position for you. This is exactly what you want from your opponents as this composition, so that your warlock is just free to poke dots from the side and whittle and rot our targets away. As we come out of the sphere, we want to just immediately reconnect to the priest, so we're going to wild charge right back over, but we see now our warlock's in a stun, so we're going to In-Cap the priest and then high mountain charge our way over to our warlock so we can assist with with the rogue. We have demoralizing roar available, which can reduce damage, so we're going to activate this. Now the rogue is going to decide to run away. It's not worth it anymore now that we've gotten back to our warlock side. Also, being next to the warlock while they're being attacked, they get 15% bonus HP from Den Mother, and this will help with all of the passive self-healing mechanics that are percent based for warlock, which is why there's even more great synergies with this composition. And I bet there's a lot of other compositions that could be run with this. You got to think of it a lot like Resto Druid Warlock, but you're just doing so much damage in Bear. It's like you're a Bear Affinity Resto Druid. And right here, we bash the rogue, bark skin, so we can spam Mangle 3 times to get into our big Maul stack damage, which is based on the conduits that we're running in this position. And also because Brambles will do damage while Barkskin is active. That's what all those little numbers popping up are. But a bunch of little numbers eventually adds up to a lot of damage. So we've got the priest at 14,000 mana, already killed them once. We're not even 3 minutes into this game. However, they've got stun on myself, stun on my warlock, so this is the time to use Dark Pact. If I can't assist, this is when the warlock wants to use personal defensives and some evasive maneuvers such as the demonic circle to escape from line of sight of the rogue, as I am unable to heal them at this time. And he's just line of sighting the rogue's shadow step, going for soul rot in between, and I can do a rejuve swift mend while my warlock kites to the opposite ends of the map. And now that they've kited out of the fight, I can kind of just be the tank, oddly, ironically enough, and just stand on top of my opponents. They go for a blind, but it's on diminishing return, and that's going to be a critical mistake here with the warlock at 15, or the rogue at 15% HP, gets a life grip back to the pillar, and I'm like, I got to get over there. I got to get in here. I'm going to drop a vortex to try and prevent them from retreating, and go after the priest for a moment, which could be risky here with the rogue coming out of stealth, but I see that my warlock has trinketed, and the rogue doesn't really have a lot of cooldowns lined up with Mortal Coil on the rogue. I'm just going to continue to hammer away at the priest while my warlock keeps control of the rogue, and then I can cyclone the priest at low HP when he tries to get back to his rogue, and then I can swap to the rogue on the opposite side of the map. So we're going to cyclone the priest, and then we're going to move our way over towards the rogue, healing our warlock on the way to maximize our global cooldown usage. And then we can feral charge to the rogue here, pinning him in place, and start stacking up our bleeds onto him while our warlock repositions to dot the priest, kind of like tag teaming in a wrestling ring to try and keep our pressure up in multiple places. We have Incarnation available, but I do highly recommend waiting until it lines up with your Venthyr Covenant ability, which at the bottom of my screen you can see is about 24 seconds away. If you desync these, you're going to lose a lot of the big power burst. So like even though they're at 10%, they're almost about to die. Honestly, I probably could just incarn here and they would die. I still think it's better to play it safe than sorry and always align these cooldowns together, because that's really where the synergies of the spec are going to come into play. We can just wild charge on top of our opponents. We still have Bark Scan, Frenzy Regen, Trinkets, and Survival Instinct, so I really want to put myself in an aggressive position. Here, we're going to Bark Skin on the stun. This is going to prevent us from getting re-stunned on this crowd control chain and will allow us to just continue to stack up our thrashes onto multiple targets here. You can see I'm chastised. My warlock is in a stun, so Dark Pact when I'm stunned and they're stunned. This is going to allow them to survive. And now we've got Incarnation starting to stack up. I should have honestly incarned this Mind Control to immune it. And then I could have started stacking up my Ravenous Frenzy and been able to do a lot of damage. But here we go. Ravenous Frenzy, Incarnation, Priest is locked out. Absolutely no way you're making it out alive in this situation. We Mortal Coil the Priest. We have a bash out with no trinket, and we don't even need to get to the bash before the Priest is going to go down. This combination of cooldowns is just so powerful, and it works effectively with the Warlock because they can self-sustain while we focus on protecting them and keeping our opponents at bay. So this composition was actually a lot of fun, a unique composition to give a go here, and was super effective into pretty much all of the meta compositions. I don't think we ran into a single comp that we couldn't eventually figure out. We ended up climbing a lot higher than this, even at the end of this clip. So definitely a powerful composition to look out for or to give a try if you're looking to try and push towards some of these transmogs and stuff before the season ends. But if you liked the video, you like this type of content, you like the guides, the news, and the updates, so you're always in the know and the now of everything World of Warcraft, then hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next video.